Hello everyone, it's Kai back with you today, and I'm just going to show you a quick card using a technique that I've kind of fallen in love with, so I wanted to share it. I did see it originally on YouTube, and geez, now I can't remember. See, I had the name of the place that did it. I think it's Lavinia Stamps did it, but I've changed it up a little bit. Not much, but just a bit. And I'm going to be using my lace leaf from Concord 9th stamp and the coordinate, one of the sentiments from the stamp set. And first what I'm doing is going to be inking up my jelly plate. This is my 6x6 plate. And I am using Wendy Vecchi's Make Art red geranium to put on the base first. Oops. Completely cover it, the base. And it's not, you don't need a lot. You just need a nice thin layer. It's a good, this Make Art series of inks is good quality ink, which is what you want. You don't want it to bead up on the plate. So, and the next thing I'm going to do is add the Ken Oliver color bursts. I'm using, as you can see above, the lemon yellow and orange and the green. I can't remember, I think it's lime green. And just concentrating on the center for the yellow, and I do put quite a bit on. Doesn't look like it when you're looking at the plate, but there is quite a bit. And then I add the orange. For some reason it's going in bigger drops than my yellow did. Why? Who knows? So I add it around. I'm only taking a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch plate, or print I should say, off of it. And there I was putting it on to see how it would turn, to make sure it wouldn't turn to mud first. So I added a little bit of the green in the inside, not very much at all with the green because I really don't want mud. In any event, this is Neenah cardstock, 110 pound. So I'm just giving it a little pat, making sure that all the inks have transferred. And for some reason I turned off the camera, but I did add some more of the spiced marmalade and the squeezed lemonade to add even more to my background. After this, I had finished this part. For some reason I didn't have the camera on, I don't know why. But in any event, you can see here where I've added in the orange. And I like the look, the orange and the red is more fitting. So when I die cut it, the piece with a penny black die. And this is the leaf that I heat embossed, stamped and heat embossed earlier. I used Brutus Monroe's gilded embossing powder, which is just beautiful. It's so nice for these kind of detailed stamps. And I'm just adding some of the spiced marmalade, and I added a bit of candied apple in here, and a bit of mowed lawn, just for getting some of that green in. And it does show through. It doesn't appear that it does on the card, like on the video or even in the pictures, but it shows through quite nicely. It's a great look. This is one of my reasons that this stamp is one of my favorites to use. I also styled it a bit with my styler before I attached it, and I used little foam squares that I had painted the side that's going to be showing with gold marker. Here's where I'm just showing you what one I use. It's gilded. So when you don't, they kind of just fall into the background. You don't see them. As if I had white on, of course, that would just stand out like a sore thumb. So I'm going to, this is Fantastic Vegas Gold ink, and I'm going to do some splatters with it. But first I was thinking, I wonder if I should use the other piece to the background. And I got it out, and I thought, oh, it just takes up too much space when I've done this kind of background. I mean, if I hadn't had this kind of background, that would be fine, but with this background, I didn't want it covered up then, because that would be solid embossing powder. So I just kept with my plan of just a single leaf in the gold. So I wanted to stamp. I had attached my card onto Gina K Christmas Pine cardstock for the base, and I wanted to stamp just the sentiment that says "For You," and I'm using the VersaFine Clair ink in, what color is that? I think it's Green Oasis is what it's called. I hope my memory is not acting up. So I did that in my mini Misty. And then I do the splatters with the gold paint. Attach the leaf with the painted foam squares, little foam squares. So I'm letting the background and the leaf do all the talking for this card. It's almost like that Green Oasis ink was made for Gina K's peak cardstock. So because the panel is, this is actually mixed media. Did I say before that it was Neenah cardstock? If I did, I apologize. It's mixed media paper. I'm sorry. Because it's mixed media, I used my Scorpel tape or Be Creative tape or Sook Wang, whatever you'd like to call it, to attach it to the card base, just to make sure it was good and secure. So I'm adding a little bit of water to my paintbrush to get my splatters moving. It looks like it's not splattering, but it is. There's tiny gold. There's a couple of mediocre, medium-sized ones that do come down, but mostly it's the little splatters. Very pretty. And then I attach the leaf. I've linked all of the products that I used in my blog post at the bottom, so you can see what they are. And I've included links to the USA shops and Canadian for my fellow Canadian stampers. And this is it's a scrub it for your stamps on the one side, and I use the rubber on the back side to do as for my styling. Works perfectly. And I have it handy to clean stamps, so it's not something I have to haul out. It sits on the left of my desk all the time. Here we go with the struggle with the foam squares. I did speed this up too, ahead before I started to do the voiceover, so it wouldn't be so long. And it's hard to judge what you want to take out, but when it's the first time you're doing a video on this technique, I didn't really want to take too much out. I wanted to show as much as I could. It was bad enough that I had stopped recording when when I added in the spiced marmalade and the squeezed lemonade. So here is where I'm adding the gold. And then for some reason it stuck to the leaf fine, but it didn't want to stick to the the card like the card panel. And that's what I forgot too. When I had it and had added the spiced marmalade and the squeezed lemonade, I also added a layer of distressed glaze, micro glaze, and that even brought out the colors even more. So here, when I'm doing this, the foam squares didn't want to stick to that glaze, even though it's buffed. I mean, it's not shiny anymore. It's, been buffed and properly done. But so I, not to be undone by this, I thought, if I have to, I'll get out some really heavy duty glue. But as it was, I used my Nouveau glue, and after holding it down for a bit, it stayed in place. If it pops up again, though, it'll get the heavy duty stuff. You'll see here I go, oh, what are you doing? What are you popping up for? And then I get mad, like, hang on here, what is going on? Okay, we're gonna fix you. So I added some Nouveau adhesive to it, and I had to hold it actually for longer than what I expected. In any event, I did that, and it finally stayed in place. Otherwise it would have gotten a really tough ink or tough glue. And off camera I added some Nouveau woodland green gloss crystal drops, which are shown in the pictures for the card. So that finished it off nicely. So that's my card for today. Sort of. It's just a bit nude right now, but the pictures show with the drops. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Thanks so much for watching.